Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here today. This is your one-stop shop for cryptocurrency analysis, among other things. Now, we're taking a look at QNT. Now, this is an interesting coin because it is doing awesome things contrary to what Bitcoin decides it wants to do with selling off randomly and getting tweeted down, if you will. A lot of other things, of course. We don't need to get into that. We all know what's happening. But the bottom line is that QNT is an interesting coin. I get a lot of requests from my community rather, for me to cover this. So that's the whole reason and purpose of this here. So thank you for joining me. We're going to take a look at the technical analysis, no fundamentals. All right. Now, if you have fundamental insight, please comment below. Love to hear it. We all like to learn as much as we can, of course, but we're just going to stick to the charts here today and kind of focus on that. Now, I'm not a financial advisor. This is for educational purposes only. You should always do your own research. It's important that you do. But no, I have tons of experience in trading, and my goal is to bring this to the table and help you become a better trader. And I want to teach you to trade for a lifetime instead of for just one day. Now, we will have signal groups moving forward to help you also become a bit more lucrative in the sense, because I have a large community that's asking me to go ahead and help with that in a sense, because I don't have enough time in my day to make all these videos, but I have a lot more time to dedicate towards these signal groups because I know what to look for and how to do it. So I'm going to provide that through my premium Patreon account moving forward. So in the next couple of days, likely I'll be having that rolled out, so you can all go ahead and hopefully benefit from that soon. Furthermore, I also do live streams on the weekends. Feel free to join me for that. And then the very last thing I want to mention is I have $25 in Bitcoin available to you from Voyager down below if you are not familiar with that application. Nice little benefit there. We both get 25. All right, very last thing too, I have a Telegram community. Reference that in the description below. And without further ado, let's go ahead and check it out. All right, folks, let's take another look at QNT here. And thank you again to my subscribers for recommending that I cover this here again. It's a big request, of course, because we can tell that it's doing very well contrary to Bitcoin right now. So we love coins like that. Furthermore, if you're new to the channel, we always look at Bitcoin and Ethereum first to get a base on the market so we know exactly what's going on. That way we can make an informed decision instead of just kind of jumping in without understanding all the angles, okay? So we're looking at Bitcoin first here, and this is the 4-hour chart for Bitcoin on TradingView application, and I have the 200-day moving average, this purple line here, and the 50-day moving average is the yellow line here. I have those enabled. And what those are telling us right now is that they're working as resistance lines. They were previous supports, unfortunately, for the 200. We lost that, and it's working down. The main reason why, too, in case you're unfamiliar, the one-day chart does give us the oh-so-familiar death cross when the 50-day moving average comes down, the ominous death cross, and intersects with the 200. Notoriously, when this happens in charts, a lot of the whales will essentially pull out their position because they know there's going to be a sell-off. And if the inverse applies with a golden cross where the 50 is swinging up to meet the 200, it's typically going to be a bull run, right? It's going to be a short squeeze and the price goes up. So in this case here right now, that's kind of what's going on, just so you understand the big picture, because these two on the 4-hour chart are typically working very well as support lines, right? But unfortunately, we didn't get that golden cross benefit here, just based on the unfortunate circumstance that the one-day chart gave us the death cross. All right, so that's kind of the circumstances there, but generally speaking, we're looking at 30,000 for a support, 42,000 for a major resistance, 41 is the tentative resistance level. That's our next milestone to get up over. But right now, it did bounce over the support level about 35,000. Correction, it's actually 35,500. That bounced earlier today, and that's actually a good position to have gotten in. I was able to short, thankfully, from about 38 down to 35.5, and as soon as it bounced, I was able to take a profit. Those are things that I'm going to include in my signal group, by the way, as well. I'll have 3 to 5 signals per week in my premium Patreon account. So link in the description below if you'd like to check that out. I have that very, very soon. I'll actually roll out with that here in the next couple of days if all goes well, just making sure it's going to be a positive experience for everyone. So that is kind of what we've got here for Bitcoin. Let's move on to Ethereum. Now, Ethereum got hit pretty hard today, and no real good news here for Ethereum at this point because it's well below its previous supports. But major resistance right now is about 2,900. We have the 200 and the 50-day moving average trailing above, or trending above rather, and that essentially just means that we got a lot of room for improvement here with Ethereum. Somewhere in the 2,000 range is a good value right now at this point. So obviously, if you get a chance to invest, you have the capital to do so, feel free, because regardless of what you might think, we are still in a bull market, and we will see Bitcoin recover. Hard to say where it's going to go. 64,000, probably not, in my opinion. But I do think we should come upwards of 50 when everything's said and done for our next bull run, because history tends to repeat itself. Again, it doesn't have to, but in crypto it does more often than not. And we're right at that point where we're about to see an increase in price from Bitcoin. Moving on to QNT, let's take a look at the one-day chart first. And as you can kind of see for QNT, it's jumping around a little bit, right? It's kind of nice in a sense. I love to see when coins do this, especially when Bitcoin's going like this. This guy's going like that. It's fantastic. I love to see this kind of movement. But the truth of the matter is that it's not an exact science, right? It's not moving up only because Bitcoin's not doing so well, because it's not impervious. It was impacted by Bitcoin's movement recently. But the thing to note as well, though, is that it has done fairly well contrary to what Bitcoin does. So like if you look at the 12th here, just to note this, the 12th is the Elon candle. This is what happened when the market went down, right? Went right up here. This is nice. So Elon sent a tweet, everything went to crap, and look at what this did here. Did pretty well, okay? So that's a big sign. One thing to also note is, again, it's not flawless. When real world events happen and they're not just fake news, not saying that tweet wasn't, but really, it was unnecessary. Look at the 19th here. This is the residual from the China candle, essentially. Basically just meaning that it's in a position right now where it is impacted by traditional, more normal movement in the market, which is why we saw that here today as well. All right. So that is kind of what's going on. That's the state of the nation here for QNT on the one-day chart. RSI is overextended, of course, so you do want to be cautious in taking entry, but just note that it has recovered fairly well. I mean, based on its reaction here today, this little knee jerk here where it came down and right back up again, that is a strong bounce back from where it should have come down. It should have came down a lot further and stayed down, but no, it came back up. I think that's a pretty good sign for QNT, and especially today too, it's doing very well. So just something to note, if we see more sideways action, perhaps even some, downward action from Bitcoin, we might anticipate QNT doing something similar, at least similar to what it's been doing, which is going up contrary to Bitcoin. So we like that. All right. Now here's something to note as well, though, on the 4-hour chart. Here's the moving averages. We're looking at the the 50 and the 200. The 50 is working as a support. So when we had that sell-off, roughly, 24, well, I would say more so as 16 to 20 hours ago, it bounced off and held. So that's a good sign. That means the 50 is going to work with the price action to keep moving upwards. 200 really doesn't matter at this point. It's so far away, we don't need to worry about it. But the RSI is low still. So generally speaking, it's still considered good value based on the technicals alone. So there's a good chance that QNT could continue to rise back up. I would foresee that QNT will probably enter a state of consolidation for the next few days. That's my guess, just based on the fact that it's been overextended for some time now. But again, there's reasons why it's going up. So again, do your research. There's likely some fundamental things that I'm not aware of here that are causing the price action to increase so rapidly. So that's where fundamentals are helpful. But generally speaking, that's what's going on here on the 4-hour chart. Let's take a look at the Ichimoku Cloud now on the 1-hour chart. And if you're not familiar, the Ichimoku Cloud is essentially a cloud that tells us if it's either a buy signal or a sell signal. In other words, when the price is under the cloud, it's traditionally going to be considered a sell signal. Right? When it's above, for example, let's see if we can come on over here, because it's been above for quite some time, it's usually a buy signal. Look at this. As soon as it came above, continued up and did very well. All right. Now, coincidentally, and this could be an indication here, it's almost bounced up and through the Ichimoku Cloud. Okay. So just something to note, there's no guarantees in this, of course, but the common law is to ensure that you don't invest while we're in the cloud, which we are right now. So I would recommend waiting until we see this break above and essentially hold above for a couple of hours. That would be my recommendation, but the 1-hour chart, Ichimoku Cloud, is essentially showing us that we have a strong bullish trend that is trying to break through the cloud. If and when it does, it may be a good consideration to continue to go long. Now, I know what you're probably thinking is like, well, why don't I just go ahead and invest now because it's going there anyways? It's not always a guarantee. Oftentimes, it can reject and hold below the cloud and drive it back down. So just be careful, be patient. Another couple of hours, we'll have our answer. All right, so that is kind of the 1 hour chart. Let's look at the 15. And what I always do on the 15 is I go ahead and, well, let's clear out this garbage here first. And what I want to do is just kind of turn on my EMA and my VWAP lines. Now these are, if you're new to the channel, VWAP is one of my best friends. I use it consistently for day trading and even for short-term swing trades, right? And it helps you with good entry points because it tells you if you're working as a support or resistance line, because it takes the volume of the last 24 hours and expresses it as a price. So right now, at this point in time, $73 is essentially the current price based on the volume, whereas the price is almost exactly right there. So it's pretty much exactly where it needs to be. So that's a good sign, but the price is essentially above the VWAP line, which is good. Furthermore, we have the price action over EMA. Now, the EMA is more of an important indicator in this scenario because it's essentially a bullish trend, right? So you can kind of see this here, right? And the beautiful thing about the EMA, the exponential moving average, I use the 15, it really tells us when we got bullish and bearish trends. It's very similar to the MACD. So if you know what the MACD is, it gives you kind of a moving average convergence divergence. When the 12 and the 26 essentially intersect, it causes a buy signal and or sell signal, depending on what direction it's converging, right? This has the same effect, only it's right on top of the price action. So to me, it's a little bit more effective because it's continuous with the price, so you know when it bounces, it's doing well. You don't just have to wait for that one sell or buy signal. You can get them more consistently. So just take a look here. If you see, price is generally going to stay below the EMA line, right? So this is basically a bearish trend. So the price is getting pushed down, and what you'll see if you look close, you'll see that the price keeps bouncing off of these lines. In other words, when the price is trying to come up, see how it comes up? It gets rejected, comes down below. It comes up, gets rejected by the EMA, rejected by the EMA, and pushed down even further. Now the inverse should apply as well, of course, when you've got a bullish trend, right? So in this case here, we've got the price moving up, and what's interesting is it hasn't really had a chance to try to come down and bounce off the EMA line yet. So we want to pay attention and see what happens here soon. Hopefully EMA catches up and the price bounces off and stays above. That will tell us we're still in a bullish trend. So those are things that I try to look for. Just keep in mind that RSI is over 70. There's a good chance that the price could go sideways for a little bit and then increase again. So I would wait to see what the 1 hour chart tells you for the Ichimoku Cloud. If we break above, might be a good entry point. And then furthermore, confirm the price action is over the VWAP and the EMA lines. That's what I would do in this situation here. So just something to pay attention to look at. We don't necessarily need to look at the 1 minute chart because honestly, it's going to tell us something very similar. And what I mean by that is that, first of all, we get this funny, you don't see a lot of healthy looking bars here. That's the problem with coins like this. Sometimes they have low volume, they have sporadic volume. It's less volatile, and that can create problems with bid-ask spreads and just finding good entries. Okay, so I would recommend sticking with the 15-minute chart on something like this, just because it gives you much better confirmation. And what you're looking for confirmation, by the way, is 2 15-minute green bars that close above EMA and VWAP. And what I mean by that is you just want to try to find something that is over EMA and VWAP lines here. So for example, this right here is what I would consider a good entry point, right in this range here. And the reason why is because we got confirmation it's over EMA, it's holding, right? We're not trying to buy the bottom or find the bottom. We've confirmed the direction is heading the way that we want, right? Because again, we're not controlling this market. The industry leaders are. If we understand what they're doing, we can get right on board. And what they do is they go on these bullish and bearish runs and they control the price. So you may as well get on when they're on, right? So, jump on their little back there, be a fly in the wall for a moment and just go ahead and ride out. But ideally, you take entry here because there are 2 solid green bars kind of closing above EMA and VWAP. That's kind of what I shoot for. So just, again, something to look for. But generally speaking, that's kind of the concept of what I try to identify for a good entry point. And that's on the 15-minute chart. Other charts have different measurements, right? The 4 hour chart, you probably want to use the MACD to kind of see what's working there, along with the moving averages. But when it comes to this here, EMA is effective on the 15-minute chart or less. So you want to pay attention to that. And don't try to use EMA on a larger time frame. It's really not that beneficial. In my opinion, again, some people love the EMA lines on larger charts. I personally feel like the simple moving averages make more sense on a 4-hour time frame or higher. Again, everyone has their own trading style, so you want to just adopt your own philosophy, kind of take maybe a little bit of something that I just showed you and apply that to yourself, but also, learn something else from other people as well, or just, develop your own trading style, because you should never just do what I tell you to do. You should take, small pieces from this and make it your own, right? Every good trader has learned a lot from different people over the years, and it just kind of evolves into something that you find beneficial. Okay. So again, just take this with a grain of salt, but I can tell you that these are effective. These are things that help me, and these are things that allow for me to find good entry points and good, I would just say best practice is very helpful. So in regard to best practice and just generally finding good entry points, I will have a signal group moving forward here soon. So just pay attention to that. I'll actually have that. I'm planning to release that either this weekend or early next week. I'm just making sure that we're on the right track with all the setup and the functionality, just to ensure you have a good experience. But that'll be available through my Patreon account. It's going to be a premium Patreon account there, of course, if you'd like to consider that. Link in the description below. And also feel free to join my Telegram community. Got some really awesome group of folks there. We're all learning and growing together. Okay, that's the whole point of this. And be on the lookout too for live streams on the weekends. I'm planning to probably evolve that into the weekdays eventually, but just depends on the demand and of course the benefit I'm able to provide. Because if there's no benefit for those live streams, then there's really no need for it, right? But I want to make sure that we bring the best content to you moving forward. So thank you all for being awesome and joining me this far. You're great. You're the reason why I do this now, and I appreciate you very much. So I hope you all have a great rest of your day. We'll see you in the next video. Take care.